Hey everybody. Welcome back to the show named what's the name of the show? Film Tangents.
Tangents of the film kind.
Welcome to Film Tangents.
You did that intro
Um,
like one of those NPR people. Hi,
welcome.
this
Yeah,
is
it's like
the film hour with Jake
yeah.
and Edward. Today we're
I
going to be
usually I usually
talking
listen.
about
Like I
Amadeus from 1987. Yep.
I actually listen to NPR, dude. Like oftentimes. There was a time like back in like 2021, 22. I was listening to it every morning. I felt like a real adult. I would listen to like the NPR news, be like, "Hey, it's this Barbara Coleman, I think it's her name, with NPR News." I listen to NPR every morning,
Oh yeah.
and I still do every now and then. I like to stay informed. I like to know. I like to be up to date with the world. But everybody, welcome back. It's Film Tangents. That's the name of the show, right? Yes. This time it's classic tangents because it's just me and by me, I mean I'm Jake,
Right.
and I am here with Edward. So
Yeah.
it's just the two of us. Jack's not here. Jack's on a sabbatical. He'll be back in a few weeks for all the Jack fans.
Yeah. Jack's in Japan at the moment. And the hotel that he's staying at is in the comments below. So yep, there's that. Just do with that what you will. But yeah, Jackson,
Yeah,
Japan.
we
So
back.
yeah, for now it's Film Tangents Classico. Don't
Classical
forget,
tangent.
yeah, don't forget to like if you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe,
Yes.
comment below. We'll leave a pinned comment question for this
Mhm.
week. I don't know what Edward's question of the week is going to be, but
I'll
um,
cook it up.
yeah, and then Apple Podcasts. Follow us on there. Hit that bell icon on both platforms too, so you get notified.
And everybody, this episode is not sponsored
Yeah,
by
it sounded
HBO
like we were
Max,
gonna go.
but
Yeah,
oh yeah, but also not by Apple Podcasts. Um, uh, we're not sponsored by HBO Max, but the reason why I'm mentioning HBO Max, which now it's apparently going to go back to HBO Max, which is ridiculous. Did you hear about that?
I did notice the logo like changed back to the more HBO looking thing when I
Yeah,
was
no, it's going
watching
back. Like
something the other
it's
day.
fully going back. Like the journey of that logo was from HBO to HBO Now to HBO Max
Mm-hmm.
to Max, and now it's going back to HBO Max.
Damn.
Um, I don't know what that shit's about. But the only reason why I'm mentioning this is we're in the midst of the French Open, also known as Roland Garros for tennis. This is my little tennis section. um, and everything. Like, if anybody loves tennis, or if you don't love tennis, it's on HBO Max. If you have HBO Max, or if you have access to a TNT or whatever, but it's on HBO Max. Like, you can go to HBO Max and go to the sports section, and you can watch tennis there. Watch the French Open. I'm watching the French Open. If you want to be experiencing what I'm experiencing, then go over there and watch the French. They gave Mr. Rafael Nadal a very nice and wonderful retirement ceremony. It was great.
Nice.
Um, but tennis aside, there's something that I wanted. There's a topic that I've had on my list for a while, and it is something that I've called social media multiplicity, and specifically how there's a lot of different versions of the exact same thing. You get what I'm saying?
I think so. Expand on that.
Um, yeah, because we have Facebook, right? And then we have things like Facebook. For instance, like we also have Twitter, and Twitter, I guess after like Elon Musk bought it, other people was like, "Oh, we have to leave Twitter." And so there's a thing called Blue Sky. Have you heard about that?
Sounds. Mm, I don't think so. Go
It's
on.
a Twitter clone called Blue Sky. So a lot of people who left Twitter or who have Twitter, they also have Blue Sky. But also, there's
God.
Truth Social.
I think I've heard of that one. Isn't that like a
Yeah.
conservative thing? Like, don't a lot of
Yes.
the Ben Shapiro's of the world jump on
Yeah.
that one
And
or something?
I don't know what Trump's deal with it is, but I think he might own it or have some stake on it. I have no idea, but he's on it. Like when he got banned from Twitter, he went there, and he's still like very active there apparently. I
Yeah.
don't have any of these accounts, by the way. I don't have a Blue Sky. I don't have a Truth Social, but we have TikTok and we have Snapchat and we have YouTube Shorts. So we have like just so many versions of the same things, and then you also have Instagram, but Instagram also has Threads, and Threads is another Twitter clone. you know? We just have like there's just so many different social media websites. And I know that well, rather, could you give me an update of where your social media usage is at the moment?
That's funny. I actually have one. So like, I think it was like in October or something last fall. I just deleted all my socials and I
Yeah, I
haven't
remember that.
hadn't been on since. But
Yeah, if
recent
anybody's interested to following up with that, just go to our channel and you can search on our channel the words what is it? Like our social media journey or something, and I think you talked about it in one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and it's like yeah, cuz like we've talked about this ad nauseum on the podcast, but so people can go listen to other episodes, but like it's just one of those things. It's just a cesspool, man, of just so yeah, God, dude, just all the opinions, all the fucking virtue signaling, all the like, oh well, I was standing in line for a donut today, and I saw a man who couldn't pay for he didn't have the last dollar for his jelly donut, so
Mhm.
I said, "Sir, I believe you dropped this," and handed him a 20 and walked away. Pass it on. Just shut up, man. By the way,
Yeah.
uh, I have a something. I have a topic related to this, or that
Yeah.
not a topic, but something that goes into this. But I'll build to it. So
Yeah.
so recently, I to give people kind of an idea. Like recently, in January I finished a 150,000 word, 160,000 word actually epic dark fantasy novel, and I took a break from that, and then like after I finished the first draft, took a break from it for a few weeks, hired a developmental editor who is an author in his own right. Shout out to Jeff Hart. If anyone needs a developmental editor, I highly recommend him. 5 stars. I keep in touch with him. He was awesome. Did such an amazing job. Gave so much amazing feedback. And he really liked my book too. But
Yeah.
subtle
Glad to hear.
subtle brag. But
Yeah.
yeah. But there's always work to do on the first draft, of course. But what I'm getting at is I then, while he was editing it, I think I talked about it a few months ago, but I had that idea for like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid style book, but for an
Mhm.
adult audience. I wrote it. Actually, I finished the first draft of it during that time that he was editing that other thing. So I'm actually sitting on 2 finished novels right now, and I just have like a pipeline going. So I wanted to go find some beta readers for this comedy novel that I'd written. So I made a Facebook account just for that, like just using the pen name that I use for comedy writing,
Mhm.
and joined some beta reader groups and stuff. Dude, AI has fucked Facebook. I couldn't find a single beta reader. I couldn't find
Yeah.
one. It's like, dude, I can't find one because all it is just a bunch of bots who comment in droves. Like you'll get a half dozen on one post, or a dozen comments from the same bots. You go to their history, they commented the same thing on every post. They're bots. They're looking for like either payment, which
Yeah.
beta reading is supposed to be like just a free service, because
Right.
there are beta readers out there who enjoy reading. They want new things to
Right.
read and provide feedback, or they want to swap books with you. It's supposed to be like, there's an argument about that, like whether you should get paid for beta reading or not. I believe that if you are offering beta reading as a service and you demonstrate you're good at it and someone wants to pay you for it, that's fine. But
Right.
it's all these bots, dude. I had one person. I was like, "Fuck, I'll send them my manuscript." I wasn't sure if this one was a bot, and they sent me
Mhm.
back like all this detailed feedback, and they were like, "Can you give me a good review on Fiverr?" And I'm like, "This feedback is awfully detailed and awfully
Yeah.
well written and
Just
awfully
fed it to like an AI.
comma heavy." Yeah, lots of you could tell when something's written by a chat GPT. It's just so like
Yeah.
comma heavy. There's like details in there that are inaccurate. So I was like, hey, did you use AI like in your feedback? They're like, no. And then I just sent them 4 screenshots of like different AI detectors that I fed it to. I'm like, you fucking like, and it was all like 97% certainty that this was AI generated. And I'm like, it's over. I'm not, I just deleted it again. I'm like, I'm not even playing with this. I tried for like weeks to just find a beta reader. And I'm like, you can't, dude. AI has fucked that. So that was my brief dip back into the, just fucking petri dish of annoyance, of irritation and argument. And I saw like, I go in there too, and there were like, I have this weirdly oddly specific memory, and there were like people in there that I recognized from years ago, from like 6 years ago, that were just like from other writer groups that were just talking the same shit that I remember from 6 years ago. And I'm like, this sucks, man. I'm like, why do people spend all this time on these platforms, dude? Can't do it. So I was actually really happy about it, because I'm like, you know what? I'm glad this didn't work out. I'll go find beta readers on, they have like websites and stuff where you can trade manuscripts with other authors and shit. I'm just doing that because, fuck, dude.
It's terrible.
Bit of a rant there, but I think I answered your question. But yeah, so I'm back off. Like it's just, I'm like, there's no way. Plus, I think social media is this beast. At this point, it's this beast that we don't like fully understand the consequences of yet,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be a part of something that we don't, you know what I mean? It's like you cooked up this organism in a lab and you're like still figuring out what it can do, but you're using it to like, I don't know, pull carts around and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's like it's like if you were to, create some horse-like organism that might be able to shoot lasers out of its eyes, and you're like, well, we don't know yet, but we're gonna ride it around and like use it to pull carts and like, and race and stuff. It's like, no, I'm not using that, and that's how I feel about social media. I hope these don't sound like the ramblings of a madman, but what I'm trying to say is like,
he wears his tinfoil hat.
No, yeah, it's nothing like that. I just think like I think this is all like kind of well trod territory, but I think it's just worth saying, like, for me, because it's like world altering shit with social media, where you have people getting canceled, you have people self-deleting because of, certain, because, internet mobs go after them because, oh, there's a video of him like, being, yelling at somebody on the street. And it's like, then 2,000 people go after somebody on the internet, it's just all this shit that I don't want to be a part of, and it just feels so good to just be detached from it. Oh my God, you go outside. It's like the birds are tweeting, the sun rises, it's just like life without social media really is beautiful. And I think a lot of people have forgotten what it feels like.
Yeah.
But
I think so, because it's become like such commonplace, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's fascinating with the AI stuff that you talked about, because I saw in the news that apparently reading and writing comprehension has gone down. Like in kids that are like, in high schoolers and stuff like that, like right, like reading and writing comprehension has like really gone down. So teachers are having like a big time struggle with that, which is fascinating to me, because maybe, there's always been this conversation around like homework, and maybe it's like, oh, maybe we're past that now. Like maybe we should move towards no homework and everything should just be done in school, because I feel like at least that really gives you like a way of assess where the students are at.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do this thing. Here's a pen and paper. Write this essay. Nobody can ChatGPT it.
Yeah.
But if you give people homework now, there's just so many. I mean, there's ChatGPT. We grew up with Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were the Wikipedia generation. And now there's a new generation of kids who are just the Chat GPT kids,
Yeah.
the AI kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, teaching is it's so challenging because it's like it's such like an ever evolving field. Like every generation is different. What you have to encounter to like deal with these kids, their attention span and not doing jack shit, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And I use ChatGPT a lot in my day-to-day life, but I will say the past few weeks I've been trying to use it less. Or I have
yeah,
been using it less. It's been kind of nice cuz like especially when it comes to like so in terms of writing, obviously you don't want to have ChatGPT write your stuff for you if you're a writer cuz one,
right.
what's the point? And two, that's a horrible idea because it's not going to come out good. And three, it's a horrible idea because you're going to get caught for it. Like publishers don't want that. Um, or if you're writing an essay, whatever it is, like you're going to get found out.
Yeah,
Like that. You can't keep that game going. And so the way I would use it, though, I would utilize ChatGPT for research purposes for writing, and then also as like a thesaurus, right? So to find synonyms for different
yeah, well, yeah.
words.
Of course, it's just that way you're using it just like it's a tool.
Exactly. But even that
Yeah,
I've tried to dial back rather because um I just feel like when you use an instant tool like that to do research, you're actually missing out on other information you could have gathered up.
sure.
Because if you read
Something
an
you could have found in
article,
the midst of that.
exactly, because if you read an article, like you're gonna not only get the answer you were looking for, but also you're going to pick up other things that were in the
100%.
article that you're like, oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting too. Maybe I'll use
yeah.
that versus ChatGPT just spitting something right at you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like asking like, "Hey, what's the better movie, The Godfather Part 1 or 2?" And it's gonna tell you like, "Oh, it's The Godfather Part 2," because you
right.
can go on parties and talk about it, but it's just like, well, there's more of it if you watch both movies. You can have like a more nuanced opinion and maybe even think the first one is a better one. I know this is like a weird I know that was like a weird analogy based on what you said, but
No, what you said is what you said is totally true. That's
yeah.
exactly how I see it. And but even the thesaurus thing, like I was because I'm revising
Mhm.
that novel that I wrote, and revisions, obviously it encompasses more than just, fixing like grammar stuff and making your
Right.
sentences sound better. There's a lot of big picture revisions that I'm doing, but there's also certain chapters, that I know, once I'm finished with the big picture revisions, then I go through and polish them to make the prose sound better, tighten it, tighten sentences, shorten some of the words. Like, obviously there's a million different ways you can slice certain paragraphs where it would just sound
Mhm.
better. And I just I've been going back to just using like a regular thesaurus online, like because, and I actually found myself because it challenges you more. Um, sure, it's not as quick, but it challenges you more. And when you're using kind of that brain power to polish a sentence, it leads to something better. I don't know how else to
Yeah,
describe it than it would if
yeah.
you just
I agree with you.
said, "Hey, ChatGPT, what's a better word for this in the context of
Right,
that?" And yeah, just
right.
but yeah, as far as the social media stuff, I'm still off of it, dude.
Well, my journey continues because I still have like a bunch of this stuff. Like to name them, I'm gonna name every social media that I have. I have Facebook still. I have Facebook. Even though I don't use it at all whatsoever. I don't even go into it. Like I don't even go in it. I just like have the app. Because somehow I actually was able to successfully just disable the notifications. If for the people who've been following this social media journey that we've been on, before I disabled notifications and then I was getting text messages. And I was just like getting text messages being like, "Oh, this person posted," or this. Now it's to an extent with it where I don't get anything. Anything. I don't get anything from Facebook. It just exists on my phone. So I'm okay with that interaction with it. I don't even go in it. I haven't gone in it like probably like this week, maybe even last week, maybe once. So I'm engaging with it that way, and that's fine. You know.
What are you holding
Um,
on to, man?
yeah, but
What are
it's still there.
you're holding on to it? Why are you holding on
But
to it, man?
the funny thing is that
It
it's like
feels so good getting rid of it.
For me, I wouldn't deactivate it. Like I would just like the only thing I would do really is just delete the app, but I would still like hold on to the account or just let the account be. Um,
I think I'm able to
you
resurrect
just
my account.
deactivated it.
I
Yeah.
deleted the account, but I think I believe when I did it, there was something there that was like, oh, you can still
Really.
reinstate it or
They
something.
they always they always like it's like you're closing the door and they just put a pinky in.
Oh
It's like
yeah, man. They don't
you
want
can
you
always
to
come
go.
back.
Yeah, they don't want you to go, man. You
No.
kidding me? They got
Yeah,
you, man. They don't want to give that up. It's like the
but
fucking
I'll leave.
to make a movie reference here. It's like the fucking Cenobites and Hellraiser, man. They're like,
Yeah.
Frank gets out of there. It's like it's just one soul, and it's like, yeah, but it's a soul. Like it's
Yeah.
ours. We want it back. no, no one
So
escapes us.
yeah, so I have Facebook still. I have Snapchat, and funnily enough, like I get two kinds of notifications from there though, and so I have to figure out how to disable one of them because I get notified when somebody messages me, you know, and then I get notified, which funnily enough, like the only person that I interact with on Snapchat is like you, and now my brother. That's it. I don't interact with anybody else, you know. Maybe on a rare blue moon, somebody else, some rando, but that's it. So I get the notifications from you or my brother, and so that's like the notifications that I get. But also every day I get a notification just telling me like this person from your contacts, you could add them to your group, to your friends. So I get those like every day. I get a notification from that. Just any random person. Lately, it's been a lot of like Jack, just telling me like you can add Jack,
Oh,
Adam.
really?
Yes, I get like a lot of pushes to Adam. And I'm always like, whatever. I'm not gonna do anything. This is a reference to Jack. If you're listening, I've referenced you now.
Yeah.
Um, but
Jack's
often,
never been big on social media. He had it right from the beginning, dude.
yeah,
Every account
but
he's ever
often,
made, he's like deleted it and then just kind of brought it back, but never uses it. Like he had it right,
yeah,
man. He never fell down that rabbit hole.
yeah, but often I get that, and I'm like, I'm not gonna bother that guy. But it's like, it's a rotation. He's one of them, but it's like a rotation of people. So I get a notification from that, and then I think that's it. I have Instagram, and it's funny because I remember when I made it. I made it with you and like Evan in the room when I made that fucking Instagram. I didn't have one before that, but I still have it for whatever reason. I still have it. I mean, I don't go in there either. So it's like I don't use any of these things, but I still have the apps on my phone. Um, and what else? And then I have things that are social media, so people don't think about them as social medias. Because I also have YouTube on my phone. I have YouTube, and and then I don't have these other ones, but I use them. Like I go on Letterboxd, maybe like once a week. I go on Letterboxd, because I don't have an app for it, and I never use it on my phone because it feels so clunky to like do things on my phone with it. So I only go on it on my computer, and I seldomly like go on Letterboxd on my computer. So I go on Letterboxd, which it is a social media app just for movies, and I created a new one. It's not TikTok. It's not, which is funny because it's. I'll get to this in a second, but it's not any of those Blue Skies or Truth Socials or any of that horseshit. I created a music one because up until now I had been, I've been listening to all this music for years, and I've been logging the albums that I've been listening to just on my notes on my phone. Like I listen to an album, and I just write the name of the album, and I give it like a rating of what I thought it was, or if there's like songs that I really liked, I sometimes like write the songs down, and that takes a lot of time and like conscious effort for me. So I don't do it a lot, and so then I forget what albums I listened to, and I'm like, oh, I didn't listen to. It's a pain in the ass doing shit like that. So I looked up randomly. I just went on Google and I was like, is there a equivalent to Letterboxd for music?
Yeah.
That's literally what I like searched, and there is. And the name of it, I'm gonna tell you. And I have one of these. So if you want to add me or anybody wants to add me on this thing,
It's today's
um,
sponsor.
yeah. Let me see. What's the name of this thing? It's Musicboard. That's what it is. Like music, all one word. Music and then board, BORARD. That app. So that app. That's a site. and it's basically literally the equivalent to Letterboxd, like with the pictures of the albums and the songs, and there's a social aspect and blah blah blah. I'm not socializing with anybody. The reason why I have that is just so that I can log these albums and rate them and have them there and rate the songs so that I don't have to actually keep fucking doing that on my phone. But I have one of those. If anybody wants to look me up there, you can look me up.
Use promo code tangents for
Yeah.
30% off your first month.
Yeah. But I have one of those. And I think that's it. I think that's like all the social media I engage with. I don't know what else exists. I don't know what else is there.
As long as you don't have a Reddit, dude. Like Reddit is the
Yeah,
worst
I've never
thing.
had one of those.
That's one of the
Never had
worst
one.
things you could say. Probably besides like all this truth social shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Reddit's the worst. Like Reddit's the, as far as just commonplace, like, you know, social media icons that you might see in the footer of a business's website. Oh my God, Reddit's got to be the worst. So bad. Just so many rabbit holes you fall down. We've already, I'm not going to go over this again. We've talked about this, but yeah, just all this commiserating, just wallowing in each other's misery. Oh my God.
It's something's interesting to me aside from Reddit, and it is that sometimes, or not rather, but all the time, like the older generations, people who were born in the 60s and 70s, you know, at some point, all of those folks gravitate to whatever the social media is.
Yeah.
You know, often I see people just in public, much older people who I can at least visibly be like, this person's at least like in their 50s or 60s. I see them on TikTok, man.
Oh yeah.
Like I see them on TikTok, and it's interesting to me because it's always been interesting to me because always I've been very like hesitant with social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't have an Instagram until like maybe 2017, you know. And it's the same with like Facebook and everything. I'm always like a very late adopter of of like new social media stuff. Very late. I'm always like really late to the party because I'm always like, what does this offer me? I don't know, you know. And so that's why I don't have TikTok or any stuff like that. And if there's like if there now if some new app is created where, you know, people can, I don't know, digitally punch each other's faces or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get on that either. You know, because I
have
just
I have a
get
few
on
people
stuff
that
I
I'd
don't-
want to that I'd invite to that one.
But
Do you want to share your contacts with that app? Yes, I do.
Yes.
I have a few invitations to send. for
Jake
that
wants to
one.
punch you in the face. Yeah.
Click here. Yeah. Jake has
Would you like
invited
to
you to get
accept?
punched. I have
But
maybe how many people would I invite to that?
I'm thinking.
I have at least two I'd invite to that probably. I could think of in my that I would have in my contacts.
For me, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody. Not in my contacts anyway. Maybe there is somebody. I would have to think deeply. But
Yeah,
I
because
think
usually you
about
don't
it.
have someone you'd want to hit in your contacts, but
Yeah.
I do.
They're usually not your friends.
Yeah.
Acquaintances. But yeah, dude, I'm a late adopter to this stuff, and
It's
but I
good.
always see like just much older people doing it. And it's like, how is it that like if I'm in my 20s, it's like, what are you doing in this social media? Like, what are you doing on TikTok? Like, if you're somebody under 60s, like, what are you on TikTok for? What are you on TikTok for? What's there? What's on TikTok? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, the doom
I haven't even used
scrolling.
it once. I don't really know what's in there to begin with. What are you gonna say?
It's just endless scrolling through like just all these various, you know, videos from 5 seconds to 2 minutes. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I've never had one, and I'll never get one, dude. Because you think sometimes I'll have days where I'll be like, fuck, I wasted time today, man. But I was like, to a lot of people who spend a lot of time doom scrolling, they would look at a day that I thought I wasted time, and they'd be like, "Oh, that guy had a really productive day." Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's not a
sure,
brag on
sure.
me. That's just I'm not
It's
special. I'm just
Yeah.
I don't because one of my favorite, like, I heard a quote once that someone said. They said, like, you know, it's like focus is the opposite of distraction, and like if you don't do distraction, you're focusing, and it's kind of corny, but it's true, because it's like you can't bring that stuff into your environment, download it onto your phone, and then try to willpower your way into not using it. Like you just have to like get it the hell off. That's why I got Reddit the hell off my phone. That's why I got Facebook the hell off my phone. I took January through March, I took a complete fast from YouTube, and now I have an hour a day timer on that shit, and that's it, man. Because I do enjoy YouTube, but no more than hour. What am I gonna past an hour? And I use it while I'm at home. I listen to something on YouTube while like I'm working. So it's not even eating up. It's not even eating into time that I could be doing something else.
That's the thing, because that's also the way that I use it too, which is just like if I'm doing something, or I'm driving, or I'm doing laundry, like something like that. It's like for me with YouTube, I have to be doing something else. Like it has to be just like a weird background noise that I sometimes tune into, while I'm using it, which I kind of hope that people use this podcast that way. I hope nobody's like there just like sitting looking at whatever GIF or photo for the episode it is. Just, like,
just over and over.
Yeah. Like for us, I hope it's always like you guys are like at work, and like listening to this or doing something else, driving or whatever, just enjoying and having a little laugh with us. Don't sit down religiously for a film. God knows I don't.
When you started talking, when you mentioned Facebook, I have a bullet point in here, man, that I bumped to the top of my list the second you started talking about Facebook, because I've been avoiding the Facebook topic because I felt like I hammered it into the ground.
We've had
end of last season, and then end of last season, and then early this season. But now this is a perfect opportunity to bump this to the top of my list. I have a bullet point in here that says the worst Facebook post of all time. Dude, I remember the worst Facebook post I've ever seen. You might remember this. It was when we were in college, and it was a guy who went to our school who was a bit older than everyone else.
I know. Immediately when you said that, I immediately know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
He was like, I don't know what, like late 30s, early 40s or something. So he was like older than, because we had like, it was mostly college age students, but at, something like film school, you also have like people who are a bit older that want to get into the industry too. So they go to film school. Yeah. And
they remember, they get like a pulse and they go like, yes, that's actually I had a dream.
Yeah.
We go back to school.
Yeah,
we
man.
have a lot of few of those.
Yeah.
Like the Frank Ocean, like the Odd Future song, Oldies. We have some oldies in there.
I love that song. Oldies. Shout out to everybody who worked on the album. Yo, shout out
Frankie
to Frankie Ocean. Yeah. Shouts out Ty Dolla. Yeah. So this individual, probably like 40 years old, Edward's laughing, and he made a post, and it was, I wish to God I could read the post, but he made a post that was something along the lines of, I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was something along the lines of like, back in the dating game now, and things have really changed. Like, I'll go on a date, and it seems like every date I go on, at the end of the date, she asks me if I want to go home with her. Like, are people just sleeping with each other on the first date these days? I mean, I feel like I just want to get to know people. And it's just like, dude, get out of here, man. We know what you're doing. Yeah, get out of here. First of all, that didn't happen. It happened like once, and you're making it. He wrote it like it happened 10 times. It's like it probably. I would say probably one date, some girl was like, oh yeah, you should come meet my dog sometime, and he was like, oh, he just took that and ran with it, dude. Like,
I must share this on Facebook,
and it's like
pontificating experience on the current
Yeah.
social dating.
Yeah, well, you know that like he had some kind of ex-girlfriend or ex-wife that he wanted to like
Yeah.
see that post, you know,
Oh, for
and
sure, for
just do
sure.
this humble brag. It's like, and I remember people commenting on it like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll find someone." It's like, guys, can't we see through this? There's no way people don't see through that. Like the
Dude,
second I saw
dude,
that, I was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
outta here.
We know
100%.
exactly what you're doing, man.
100%. 100%. Dude, I
Nice guy,
often
by the
think
way.
about
I actually really that guy was very nice.
yeah.
I wasn't his friend. I'm not friends with him or anything. If I was, I wouldn't be talking about this. But he seemed like a very nice guy. But that was just like a
Yeah, for
come
sure.
on, man. Like,
Yeah. Well, I often think about this with social media, as somebody who doesn't use it at all. I was a little bit more active with it, through our college years. But I think literally since graduating, but also sometime before that, I think I've made like a single post on any social media platform that I have, like a single post in the past like 5 or 6 years.
yeah,
Um, but the thing that I always think about when I see posts on social media, always, I'm like, who is this for?
I know. Yeah,
Because there's what?
no, I agree.
Because it's for somebody, like
Yeah,
that. Like, that's always like my thought process, like whenever there's like a picture or a story sharing or somebody, especially like songs or somebody sharing like a song, here's the song I listened to. It was like, who is this for? This is for somebody. There's somebody, anybody who posts anything in their mind, they're like, I hope at least this person sees it.
yes,
Might be a friend,
that's
ex-friend,
exactly what it is.
ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Always, dude, always there's like a hidden motivation. You go in there and you see a post and it's just somebody going like, it's so nice going on walks at 5 p.m., listening to Coldplay. I was like, who is this for?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
for somebody,
It's for somebody to see, like, it's probably for somebody to be like, who dumped them to be like, oh, they're happy now. I mean, I'll tell you
Yeah.
who that guy's post was for. I mentioned, I'll give a more broad answer to it. It was for women. It was for
Yeah,
women, whether
for
it was
sure,
an
for sure.
ex-girlfriend, an ex-wife, or just girls, like women at our school or in his
Yeah.
network to be like, oh, this guy. It's like, dude, they can see.
Wanted.
Oh yeah, he's wanted. He's Oh, other girls like him. Maybe there's something there. It's
There's
like, dude,
something
they
there.
they see that. They see
Yeah.
through it, man.
Mm,
Yeah, dude, girls see.
pretty funny.
I'll tell you what, girls see right through that bullshit, man.
Yeah.
I will say that. But that's who that was
No, it's
for. Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I'm guilty of. I'm not guilty of a horrendous post like that. To my
Yeah.
memory, but I'm guilty of like certain posts or photos being like, oh, I hope this fucker sees that I'm,
Yeah.
doing well or
Yeah.
that. But it's like, it's a fallacy because it's like, anyone posts on social media
Yes.
are
Yeah.
generally are the good moments, are them taking a vacation, having fun somewhere, right? I will say I have seen some like people who engage in like a lot of like self-deprecation and pity farming on social media though. That's
100%.
rare, but I
100%.
have seen that of people just being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, fuck my life, another day," and but that comes with, I think that comes with like a strings too. I think that's like to get help or something, or to get people
100%.
to reach out,
Attention. Yeah.
And I don't want to be completely unsympathetic to people like that. I can understand. I understand that like I have the luxury of having people that I can call or text, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's just something like, why would you want to be a part of that? That's my thing.
Yeah.
That's why I just cut those strings. It's like, this is just, although shit like that is funny.
It's funny.
Posts like
It's funny.
that.
And it's funny speculating. I feel like for me, the worst posts I've seen on social media are just like the older folks asking how to do things. I feel bad for them. Like if it's just like an older person and they're just like, anybody, how do you this? And I'm like, oh man, that because when you see somebody that's just old, that it's just like, oh, they just really don't know, and they don't have a circle, they don't have somebody in their life that might help them, so they're just out here asking. So to me, that's always like the worst because I'm just like, I wish I didn't see that. I didn't want to, I don't want to tell you. I don't have the answers for you. How do you get a locksmith? Somebody know
Yeah.
a locksmith?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I need help working my email.
Anybody out there know how to access? They were hilarious. Somebody puts like their whole email. It's like, this is my email and password. Please help me. Grandma, delete that, please.
I remember at my first corporate job, my boss was like asking me that she was like, "Oh, are you having trouble like getting into this account?" And I was like, and for some reason I read her. It was something she said in her message that made me think I was supposed to do this, and I was like, "Yeah, here's my username and password." And like and she was like, "Do not ever send like confidential information over Slack." And I was like, "I'm sorry." Fucking dummy moment. No, when I was still on Facebook, my neighborhood, the neighborhood I currently live in, there was a group chat, and all it was like there were like 3 kinds of posts. One, anybody have a hedge trimmer I can borrow? 2, someone's dog or cat is loose.
Yeah,
here's a
I knew it was
picture.
gonna be some dog thing. Yeah.
And then 3 was like neighborhood vigilantism. Like, I remember there were
driving too fast.
Oh yeah, there were videos, like there was one video of someone driving down the road and taking a video of some kids like on scooters and being like, "These are the kids who smashed our pumpkins last week." And then like other people are in the comments like sleuthing, being like, one of them shouted the name Devin. Maybe one of their names are Devin. It's like, go watch TV. Jesus. My God. Stop it.
There's too much of that. I'm glad I'm not in any of those things. And I think I was like part of like a handful of like just random Facebook groups, and I think I like just took myself out of a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But also, every now and then when I go on Facebook, there's always somebody wanting me to join their group or like their page. And anytime I see that, I'm always like, this is a thing. Like, somehow I thought that was because to me, like people asking me, because to me, people like asking me, like when I go on Facebook and somebody's asking me to like their page, I'm like, it's like the equivalent of like getting poked. Like when they're used to like poke people, and just like poke them. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, well,
like, I was just I just went on Facebook now, and there's somebody asking me to like their page. Like, all right, I don't need this. Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, exactly. That's the thing with LinkedIn's the same way. But that is another thing that I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing I hate about socials, particularly Facebook and LinkedIn, is there's so much of that where it's just this landfill of shit that people want you to sign up for. It's like, it's like everybody's just asking everybody else for something and trying to get like, I want this person's time, and I want person A's time, and person A wants person B's time, and person B wants person C, D, and E's time, and it's like, fuck, and it's like no one's actually getting what they want, it's I don't know if that, like, I think that makes sense, but it's just this garbage dump of shit that everybody, check out my post, check out my page, check out my videos, check, it's like, fucking hell, man.
But that was the thing with me though, because it's like, the more that time passes, the more that I just see folks mentioning things that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know that fucking Blue Sky was a thing, Threads and Truth Social, and it's like, oh my god, because I feel like at some point it used to be that you just had one version of one thing, and it feels like now people create competition of the same things. Like, oh, here's that website, but again, and then that website again, and that website again, and it's just like, my god.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like everything is like, because when I think about it, it's almost like You think about people being in bubbles and all these like niche groups, but it's like there's niches within niches, because it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's like niches in Blue Sky, and there's niches in Twitter, and it's like it's all just like all these like subdivisions of everything. It's insane.
Mhm.
How do we keep up with anything? You talk to. I feel like it feels like now. It feels right now that everybody's like being wired in such a specific way, or even if most people believe A, B, C, or D, their approach at D might be different than another person's approach at D, but they believe the same thing.
Yeah.
Just because they're coming at it from a different bubble of it. It's.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's going to be a supply and demand issue with content of any
Yeah,
kind, right?
yeah.
Because isn't it like in economics? It's like if I don't want to get it wrong. It's like if supply goes up, demand goes down, right?
Goes down.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
Supply and demand. I'm like so petrified that I'm gonna get this wrong, you know?
No, but you're right.
Like
That's right. That's right.
I'm like, wait, supply goes up and demand goes sideways? Like, like I'm like, I gotta get this one right. No.
No, it goes down. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
The value of
Here
the
I am
supply goes
doubting
down.
my instincts. No, but yeah, yeah, like so of course, like the supply goes up, and it's like yeah, eventually, like as far as people who are profiting from content, whether that content's like videos, books, movies, shows, it's like at a certain point when how do you even um, commodify it? I guess how do you even
Yeah,
get people to pay you for something that's just in such abundance? I don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
not that you can't get someone to pay for something that's in abundance, but um, yeah, it just yeah, just like with movies, there used to just be like a few companies who were making movies.
mhm.
But anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. I don't even want to go off on. But um, shit, I think I had something else, but I lost my train of thought.
It's all right. It's all right. But I think I get. I mean, I get what you were trying to say, though. 'Cause I think we're getting to a point where not only is all this stuff just kind of like subdivided, but at the same time, it's just like everything is like people are feeding into everything. And it's like at some point, how do you even monetize any of these things, or how do you even like because all these like things are in crisis, like the movie industry or this thing or that thing or that thing, because everything is like priced but also free elsewhere, so
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah,
yeah, we're just at a weird time, but that being said, if you remember like where you wanted to go with that, we can go into it, but let's get into movie of the week, everybody.
yeah. Let's do it, man.
um we watched for this week a legendary movie from 2006, and it feels like 2006 through and through, and it was Crank, directed by not directed. It was directed by some guys. I forget their names. I'll look it up. But we watched Crank, and it stars. The main thing is that it's Jason Statham. That's the main thing. It's a Jason Statham movie. It's very Jason Statham. And funnily enough, it was like before. I think it was like right before, like he like just blew up, and we had like every other year like a Jason Statham movie, like the Transporter, Parker, and all these movies that we're getting with him. It was like either just before or just right at the beginning of all that Stathamness. But yeah, watch Crank, 2006. Jake, tell me what you thought about this movie.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I actually did watch Transporter like a month ago, maybe.
I have to. I haven't watched it, but that's on my list of Statham movies.
It's really stupid. It's bad.
Yeah, oh, dude, all of them.
I actually,
All of them.
yeah, during that one though, I remember just wanting to be on my phone and wanting it to be over, like especially halfway through. It's nonsensical. It's not even,
Yeah,
but it's not like crazy fun or anything. It's just a tedious movie. It's like it's just tropes you've seen before. Um, yeah, just like villains that don't make sense or are completely underdeveloped is like a is generous to say they're
yeah,
underdeveloped. Just cardboard cutouts. Just oh
yeah.
god. It's like
There's most of them.
I wanted
There's
to.
most of those things in movies.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to sit down and watch Transporter. Like, it was like a Sunday night. I was like, I just want to shut my brain off before the week gets started here. And but I just, oof. But to get into Crank, I actually really liked Crank, dude. I'm glad
Oh,
we watched this one.
by the way, let me just add this. Written and directed by Mark Neville-Dean and Brian Taylor, who are the same guys that made Crank 2, High Voltage, and then Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. That's like their last collaboration. Since then, I think they've just gone off and done like just things by themselves, but they've not reached the same heights as the two Crank movies. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Tell me about your Crank experience, dude.
Yeah, I had like this strong urge to like when I was done with Crank, I had this strong urge to just watch more of their movies because I had so much
Yeah,
fun with Crank. I was like, oh, I want
there's
to
at
put on
least two
Ghost
more.
Rider 2, dude.
Yeah, dude, we have
Um,
to watch Ghost Rider.
yeah, but yeah, but no, dude, Crank. Because here's the thing about Crank, it's like it stars Jason Statham, but there's a lot of this movie that doesn't even feel like a Jason Statham movie. Like
Yes,
Transporter was a very Jason Statham movie. It's what you
yes,
think of when you think
yeah.
of a Jason Statham movie. It has that very just Fast and Furious Italian Job kind of feel, just very
Mhm,
bland, straight down the middle. Um, Hollywood 2000s action movie, Sunday afternoon fare.
mhm.
And Crank though has vision behind it. Crank
Yeah,
is it has an identity. It doesn't quite fit in the Jason Statham camp. It doesn't quite fit
no.
in next to like Beekeeper or Transporter or Fast and Furious.
This is like,
There's a vision to it. It's like Deadpool almost,
yeah,
but
dude. This is like
better.
his. This is like if you take Sandler. This is like his version of like Uncut Gems or something.
Exactly. Well, it's funny you mentioned Adam Sandler because I actually
Yeah,
wrote down here something about Happy Madison Productions in relation to this movie because I
yeah,
basically said like it's similar to Happy Madison films in that it might not be everyone's bag, but writers actually should watch it. Like I would highly recommend writers go watch Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore because
hmm,
they're very well structured scripts. So even though
yes,
the humor might not be your bag, the characters might be annoying to you, whatever. Um, they're very well structured scripts, very just stories overall. And I would recommend writers go watch movies like that. And like this one, Crank is almost like the action version of that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Crank. Like right from the beginning, when I saw the opening video game graphics,
mhm,
and I've seen trailers for this movie though too. I saw the trailer like a while back, and even when I watched the trailer, I was like, there's a vision here.
yes,
This isn't just like Transporter again.
yeah,
Right off the bat, just with the log line, already the idea of doing Speed, basically the movie Speed, but in
hmm,
with a human
in a
body.
human.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's already a zany, out there yet original idea or a spin on an original idea, a fresh spin. And the second the opening credits were rolling, you had the video game graphics. I said again, I was like, boom, there's a vision here. There's something specific. They didn't just get, Trajan Pro font and slap it over white Trajan Pro font, slap it over a black screen, and those are
hmm,
the opening credits. No, they put thought into it. There's
yeah,
artistry, you know.
yes. I really thought about like a lot of their decisions in this movie.
Yeah, and um as I get older, I really do respect whether it's movies, books, whatever, that that know what they are and really lean into it. And this movie leans into what it is so hard that it just doubles
Hmm.
over. That's
Yeah,
how hard it leans into it. Because people might say like, "Oh, Deadpool really knows what it is and leans into it." No, 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 no,
no, no,
no. It doesn't.
no. The movie's like quarter measures of what it
Exactly,
is.
exactly. Imagine
Yeah,
if you had Crank that style of movie as a Deadpool movie. It'd be great, you
it'd be
know?
great.
If
We have
Deadpool was
base.
actually irreverent instead of just making
Yeah.
like poop jokes, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
All the
yeah,
jokes in this movie, dude. Oh my god.
yeah,
I'm not even gonna mention.
yeah. But yeah, it leans so hard into what it is. You had such great moments, like when he drives, like that moment he drives into the mall. My jaw actually dropped when he's on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and that
He's
cut
driving to
when
the
he's
mall.
driving up to the mall so casually. Oh my god, I was like, this is
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
yeah, the humor too. The humor, while we're talking about the humor, might as well touch on that. What's great about it is, it's irreverent, it's goofy, over
Very
the top,
irreverent.
and it
Yeah.
complements the action though. It complements the
Yeah.
action. They don't just throw in jokes or gags. Everything funny that happens just feels interwoven into the scene.
Yes.
It just feels like this had to happen. It feels like a byproduct of
Mhm.
the plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I think that adds to the humor. That it just feels like it feels organic. It just feels like a natural conclusion based on what this is, who this guy is, the premise of this movie, what's going on, and the tone of the film.
yeah,
Everything that happens feels like, yes, this is a natural conclusion to what this was. Of course,
exactly.
like when he like when he runs out of the hospital and he's trying to get back into, what is it, like, in the taxi or something. I forget like where the order of these scenes, but when he's like trying to get back into the taxi, oh no, this is when he comes down
He's wet.
from, yeah, he's all wet, and he's like, you're not gonna get to my car, you're wet.
Yes,
And
great
he's like,
example. Yeah.
and he I'm not gonna go into detail with this. It's a very dated and bad joke, for all intents and purposes. But he throws the guy down and he says some stuff, and then he robs him. He takes the taxi, and it's like, that's a gag, that's a joke there. There's a setup there, but it all, it's just a natural development. And the fascinating thing about that specific gag is too that, not necessarily what he says, but to me, what was really funny about it is that to that point, the taxi driver guy had just been going with him. He's been going with him. He's just
Exactly.
being like, yeah, I'm driving this guy. This crazy guy's really aggressive. He clearly stopped at a gas station and robbed it, and came out with a black bag full of like Red Bull.
But you
But
can't
I'm
get in because
cool.
you're wet.
Yeah, but
He's
now
like, my
you're wet.
seat's
It's
wet.
done. And
Yeah.
he's like, I gave you $200. Wait for me.
Exactly. Well, that's a perfect
Ridiculous.
example of what I'm talking about. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was having trouble trying to think of an example to kind of back up what I was saying about the humor. But it's perfect because the writers were likely sitting there saying,
Yeah.
like, how do we get him into the driver's seat of the taxi? And they were like, well, and they went the route of, let's make it funny. This is
Mhm.
both makes sense and is funny, because he's basically saying, because their first instinct was probably to be like, hey, you just robbed that store, I'm not taking you anywhere else.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
they went a step further. They were like, what would be funnier if he doesn't let him in because he's wet and he doesn't want the seats to get wet. That's
Mhm.
funny, because it plays
And
against your expectations.
it's
Yeah.
it's a very like South Park approach, I think,
Yeah.
to the writing of this movie. Which you jump in and correct me, because I don't remember this. I don't remember it like entirely correctly, like how their action reaction philosophy was to writing. But I think, if I remember correctly, like they spoke about it and they did like a little bit of like a lecture about it, in the way that
Yep.
their approach is not like an and then, like, oh, this guy does this and then this and then this and then this, because they're like, that's really boring and there's no conflict and it's not organic. But the way that they thought about it, the way that they write movies, and rather the way that they write South Park is like an and.
Therefore,
It's
it's
like,
but and therefore.
exactly, but
So
and
they
therefore, and
go
that's how it is.
between those. They go, this happens,
Mhm.
therefore this happens, but
This
this
happens,
happens,
exactly,
therefore
but
this
then this
happens.
happens,
You know what's funny
exactly, and
about
so
that? When I'm
go ahead.
creating a plot outline, because I'm a there's two types of writers. There's planners and pantsers, and I'm a planner. I'm an outliner. I like
Mhm.
outlining everything. And when I do my plot outlines, I shit you not, dude, I actually put but and therefore, and every time I use those words between beats, I underline it so I make sure it's there. Like I
Yeah.
actually took that philosophy and ran
Yeah,
with it.
that's a huge writing tip. I've always thought about that. I forget like how they word it sometimes, but I always have that in my mind. You know, like this is the thing, and this movie felt very much like that. You know, because it felt very much like okay, he gets wet, therefore the taxi guy doesn't want to let him in. You know, and but he throws the taxi guy out, and he's still the taxi. So it's like they implement that into like all these scenes to where everything feels like both organic and chaotic, you know, bad chaotic, you know. It's so much fun. This movie's so much fun. Like it's so much fun. I love the movie Speed. Like I really like that movie. And this movie is its own, like you said, it's its own version of that. And it's just a romp. But go on.
Yeah, I agree. It's yeah, well, that I had a note here about stakes being raised, and the stakes are consistently raised in this movie, just scene to scene. It just works really well because that's exactly what you want in a high speed action movie like this. Yeah, yeah, they do that. So one thing I loved about this movie too, about Crank, was the way they deliver exposition. Just really fun. You know, when he those scenes where ironically, I just love those scenes where he just calls his doctor and his doctor's explaining things to him because it's just it's so well paced. Like you get an action scene and then we slow down for just like 60 seconds. He's driving and then he's talking to his doctor and you're getting information, but it makes sense how the doctor's giving him that information, that the doctor would be giving him this information. And then boom, oh, I'm driving into a mall right now. You know, like it's just the plot is just so well done, man. I thought that the fucking nasal spray was hilarious, dude.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Wasn't that? I'm gonna look this up. Wasn't that the guy from Linkin Park that tells him that?
That tells him what? The nasal spray
That
thing?
tells him like the nasal spray thing. Isn't that the guy from Linkin Park? Let me look that up.
Might be.
I forgot to look. I made a note to look it up. Let me see. Linkin Park.
Because he was in movies around this time. That would make sense.
He was. Yes. Let me see. Chester Bennington. He is in Crank. Yes.
Okay.
He is in Crank and in Crank High Voltage. So he's in the sequel too. Yeah, that's Chester Bennington. I knew it. I was like, isn't that Chester Bennington? Yes, it is.
The fact that there's a sequel to this after the ending is just so fucking funny. But it's like, they hint at it though, because his eye twitches and then you still hear his heart beating when the credits roll.
And not only that, but I watched the entirety of the credits for this movie. Like, I just watched the whole credits go through. There's no post-credit sequence, but at the very end, once all the credits are done, and once like the production company and distribution company studios come on, at the very end, the very last thing is this like 10-second sequence of a video game. And the main character is Jason Statham. It's like it's like an arcade video game. One of those, like a beat 'em up arcade video game where you just have like one flat screen and you have enemies that come into the screen from both sides and you have to punch them out and just kill them. So there's a scene, there's like the little video game at the end, and then you just see Jason Statham and the life is up at the top with like a heart beating, and then he's fighting and then he gets beat up, and then he's like he goes down at the end of that little video game sequence, and then it just says press 5 to restart, you know, like just to revive him, you know. So at the very end, the movie also tells you, like, they also tell you, like, yeah, this is a video gamey thing, and he's alive, and you can reboot him, you know. Pretty cool.
Yeah, see that's really clever, man. It's really so clever because it ties back into the opening credits using the video game font. Yeah, it's really clever. It's so again, though, it's that there's a vision to this. Whereas, like, you watch a movie like Transporter, and it's just like boring music, boring camera work, you know, bland credits. There's just nothing. You know, like this movie just had all this. You know what it had? It had seasoning. That's what it is. It's seasoning. It's flavor. You know,
it's flavor.
Whether it was that or you had just the erratic camera work, which worked. It was well done. They didn't make it too shaky and too confusing.
Yeah.
But
very I think their style, they're American filmmakers. They almost feel French. Like I was like, "Are these guys French? They're not French, they're
Yeah.
American." There's like a Frenchness to what they're doing in this film. But funnily enough, like outside of that Frenchiness to the film, there's also like so much like Tony Scott, like the guy that made that movie Man on Fire with what's his name?
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah. It had like a lot of that grain in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Very
You're
Tony Scott
absolutely right on that.
movie. Yeah, yeah, but very sick movie. Let me think. Do you have any other impressions or any criticisms that you have for this movie?
Yeah, to kind of go through some other thoughts I had. I'm gonna start trying to make a habit of making more notes for movies, the movies we review. I've been getting a little lax on
Yeah,
that lately. Um,
yeah, I got a couple of notes on it.
yeah, I oddly thorough notes for this movie because it was really well. It was really it was really well made, and it had
Yeah,
a vision, and I respect it. Um, like I've mentioned before, I'm reading that Empire of the Vampire series right now, and I'm on the second book. And again, it's just one of those things where, just to add to this point, it leans really hard into what it is. It's very brutal,
mm,
very violent, very bloody,
mm,
dark, gothic, just dripping with gothic darkness. And it
yeah,
has a lot of, it has not a lot, but it has, in terms of the ratio, there's not a lot, but there are a lot of 1 and 2 star reviews for the book because of that, because
yeah,
it's just not their
yeah.
thing,
And
but that's
I think it's the
okay.
same thing for this movie. This
Yeah.
movie's sitting like at a 3.2 on Letterboxd, and let me see what it has on Rotten Tomatoes. It's generally positive for this movie, though. It has a 62 on Rotten Tomatoes, a 57 on Metacritic, and a 6.9 on IMDb. You can see that there's like it's like generally favorable, but it's got a little bit mixed. This movie, and it's interesting. This movie made me think of two other movies, and I wanted to pick your brain at that. Or rather, maybe think of three different media, and two of them are movie, and one of them is a video game. But one of them was the movie Upgrade, which I haven't even seen.
Oh, yeah. The way the action is shot a little bit.
Yeah, especially because of
Yeah.
that, like at the very beginning of the movie, you have that kind of like POV sequence where you're just in his POV and he's like kind of running around his apartment.
Yep.
So it almost felt like a predecessor to that movie. And then it also made me think of Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Very different filmmaking styles, but very
Yes.
similar in the sense that, they both lean heavily into the violence,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
But also
yeah.
that there's like
And they have
in the
bald
in
guys fighting people.
they have all the guys. But then the last
I don't
one
know
of
if anyone's
this is
ever
that
observed that.
it also reminded me of Grand Theft Auto 4. Have you played Grand Theft Auto 4 before?
Nope, just 5.
Okay, I've played most of the Grand Theft Auto. I've played Grand Theft Auto 4, and I think I have it. I have Grand Theft Auto 4. Great game, great game. I love Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto 4 is a little divisive because of like Grand Theft Auto 4 is a little bit more, in some ways, a little bit more arcadey than Grand Theft Auto 5, and in some other ways, more realistic in the driving and the handling and everything. Great game, great story. It's in New York. I actually recommend it, but you have to. I think maybe it's also on the PS5 or the PS4. I don't know, but I know it's on the PS3. I have it on the PS3. Great game. I love Grand Theft Auto 5. And I mean 4. And 4, like I said, it's in New York, and you play this guy named Nico Bellic, who's like this Russian, like bold Russian guy. And there's like a weird Jason Statham-ness to him.
Hmm.
Grand Theft Auto 4 came out in 2008. The movie came out in 2006. So this movie precedes Grand Theft Auto 4, Upgrade, and Brawl and Cell Block 99. But the reason why I mentioned Brawl and Cell Block 99 and Grand Theft Auto 4 is because to this movie, and obviously we've mentioned that there's like a video gamey element of it,
Hmm.
but I think that there's also a video game element to how they shoot Jason Statham, which I find
Yeah.
really interesting because they shoot him. When you watch a lot of Jason Statham movies, they shoot Jason Statham in a way that is always trying to present him imposing or domineering or big,
Hmm.
Even though I'm pretty sure, let me look him up. I'm pretty sure he's not really like a tall dude.
No, I don't think
Like
so.
No, he's just average. He's just an average height dude. 5'9", 5'10". But all these movies, when you watch movies of his, it's almost like with Tom Cruise, they make you think that he's taller. And Tom Cruise is like 5'7".
Yeah,
They make you think
Tom
these
Cruise is
guys are like
short.
he's really short. They make you think. Let's look up how tall Tom Cruise
I
is
think
because I
Tom
think it's
Cruise is like
5'7", but he might be shorter.
5'6". I think
Tom
he's pretty
Cruise
short.
height 5'7". I
Okay,
have it.
okay.
Yeah. But it might be a lie. It might actually probably be like closer to 5'6", 5'5". So these guys are not, but this is Statham. He's just average. Tom Cruise is a short guy. He's a short guy. He's below average. But their movies make you feel like these guys are a little bit taller than they are.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about this movie, and this is also again why I mentioned Cell Block 99, is that they shoot Jason Statham in a way that lets you know this is not a tall guy.
Yeah.
He's more in this movie. He's more like weirdly to bring this guy in, like Joe Rogan. Like
Yeah.
he feels like if you put
It's like a
Joe Rogan in
meathead.
this movie, it's a meathead. This is this bald guy, with like a big upper body, kind of wide, bald guy with just this kind of big upper body and long arms.
Yeah.
He almost, like he just looks like there is like he just looks. Jason Statham just looks like this like weird Russian mobster guy.
Yeah.
Almost like a mean little gorilla. Like if you could put like a cigar on his mouth. He just looks like that. He just looks like this like little dude. Like in this movie, he just looks like this like little character. Um,
Yeah, it's like a
like just like
third person game. Well, like Brawl is shot like that too. It really wide. It
yes,
accomplishes the opposite though, because Vince Vaughn's like 6'5". He's like almost a
yes,
foot
yeah.
tall.
But that's fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah,
because with Brawl, he just looks imposing because you can see how big he is in contrast to the other guys.
yeah,
But in this movie, it's like just this twitchy, like weirdly like beefy dude
yeah. It's like an action
against the
figure.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like an action figure. So I love that element of this movie. I love that video gamey element where they shoot him, in this wide, like cowboy mediums, and sometimes just like shoulder mediums, like from above. And I love it. It gives you like this like you're controlling this guy. It's a video game like element to it. I love it.
yeah.
Go
No,
on.
same. It's funny you mentioned GTA because I actually wrote something about GTA, but in terms
Yeah.
of the style of the movie, because it depicts crime, like the criminal underworld, in a very similar way that GTA does,
Mhm,
which is
mhm.
very grimy and off-putting. There's just no
Yes.
flash to it. It's just seedy, grimy, gross, offensive to the senses. It's an
Mhm.
attack on the senses, it's
Yeah.
just from whether it's, um I mean, the just the scene completely the scene where he calls the enemy, the guy who injected him, and the guy is getting a blowjob as he answers the phone.
Mhm,
It's that
mhm.
kind of. It's very much like something you would see in GTA. That's very like excessive, and it feels very. Yeah, it just feels. It's an interesting stylistic choice because not every crime story does that. Uh,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
do. Like Brawl and Cell Block 99 is another example of that. Makes
Mhm,
crime look very
mhm.
grimy. But then you got something like, you know, um, uh, I don't know, Godfather that makes crime look very
Yeah.
royal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it's interesting the kind of different stylistic depictions of crime. But I very much thought of Grand Theft Auto as
Yeah.
well, just for
It
different reasons while I was watching this movie.
Yeah, I think it's really topical to like bring up to keep bringing up Cell Block 99 because I feel like these two movies are so like I feel like there's just so much between those two movies.
Mm,
Even when I think about like the stakes for him of like, oh, this guy's like injected you with a thing. It just feels like Cell Block 99 stuff. Like it just feels like those movies are like in a weird conversation. Like you said, like the griminess and nastiness of the crime world, but also like the obscenely like dark repercussions.
hmm
Like how they're like, oh, we injected you, like we knocked you out when you were asleep. We taped you, and then we injected you with this thing that's gonna kill you. And then again, it's like, oh, they're going after his girlfriend. It's like, it's like it's always like the worst possible things with these kind of movies.
Well, they're both like
I
medical attacks because in Brawl,
yeah,
it's the same thing. It's like a medical. It's like medical
mhm,
warfare where it's like
yeah,
warfare
which is
on very invasive. You know.
yes, yeah,
Uh,
and somehow that just feels like there's like something to that that is so off-putting, you know.
mm-hmm.
But
Might be onto something with that.
I think like a prop that I want to give to this movie, and a way in which I think this is better than Cellblock 99, or rather not better, but in a way that I appreciate more, something that just works for me a little bit more. And it is that this movie, despite all of that, despite the darkness and the griminess and the all around horribleness of a lot of the stuff going on in this movie, you know, how they kill his friend, like Halo, how they just like kill him, you know, they like hang him while he's like tied to a chair and stuff like that.
Yeah, that
Like
sucked.
there's a lot of gruesome stuff in this movie.
Mm.
But despite that, it's just how much humor there is in this movie and how it just takes itself not seriously at all, you know. And I think that the level of like the amount of levity and just like ridiculousness to this movie, I think uplifts the movie. Where you know this. Like that's the issue that I had with Craig Seller and with Cellblock 99. That it felt like it was just like this muck, like this
Mm.
molasses. And the movie was just like, you're gonna come all the way down. Like you're gonna go
Yeah.
deep into this molasses, and that's just what it is. You know, that's just what it is. And with this movie, it's like they put like a layer of molasses on a trampoline. You know,
Yeah.
like that's the only way that I can put that.
It's a good analogy. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I remember watching Cell Block 99 for the first time, and just by the time they actually go into Cell Block 99, it
That
just
was terrible.
I felt like I was in hell. Like I was like, oh
Yeah,
my god. Actually, just to make it clear to the audience, I do like that movie.
I
I think
don't
it's
like
like
that movie.
slightly above average. Like I think it's
Yeah,
pretty good, but yeah,
I have
it is.
appreciation for it though, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I would say maybe that's kind of where I'm at. Like, there's a lot of parts of it that I like, but
Yeah,
it's not like a favorite of mine or anything.
yeah.
I would say it's like slightly above average, but yeah, it I remember that scene like when they just first go into Cell Block 99. By that point, I just was like, oh god,
Yeah,
like I was like, where are you taking me next, man? Stop
yeah.
taking me to worse places than I was in
And
the
you know,
last
it just
scene.
got worse. Yeah, and with every scene, the movie got worse. It just was darker and darker and deeper and deeper.
Before we move on to mixed and like negative stuff, like gripes with this movie, I wanted to ask you about Jason Statham's character in this movie. Like, what do you think about how the character's written? Because I had a few thoughts on that, but I want to hear yours.
Let me think. I don't have anything like written down about his character off the top of my head, but I can like
You want me to go first?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Then
was just
I
gonna say
can think
because
of it.
it was interesting because you're immediately. I feel like what works with this guy's character, um, obviously an anti-hero.
Yeah,
He's a hitman, but I feel the fast pace of this movie really works. Um, Again, all these different elements, like the characters, themes, plot, cinematography, humor, everything is in harmony in this movie, and I think it all kind of feeds into each other. And I think what really works about the pace of this movie is that right off the bat, I found his character immediately sympathetic purely due
yeah,
to his predicament of
yes,
having his privacy so violated. First of all, watching a video of himself
mhm,
sleeping and people injecting him with something, immediately sympathetic, right? And I already
mhm,
knew just from reading the log line of the movie that he's a hitman. And I immediately wanted to know more about him, and the gradual exposition works. Like you see him get the flowers, and it's interesting. It's like, okay, so he's got a girlfriend, and I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to seeing his girlfriend. I want to know more about this guy. And the more I found out about him, the more I wanted to know. Like the movie
mhm,
makes you thirst for those answers, and then it quenches your thirst. But it doesn't go overboard. It doesn't try to make him someone he's not. It doesn't try to make you feel uh, totally sympathetic toward him, or
mhm.
be his best friend. He's a bad guy, but it was interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and I like the theme too, of just kind of the cycle of organized crime. I've always found that theme very interesting, whether it's in something like The Wire, or Vince Gilligan's shows. I've always found that to be a very interesting concept. This whole cycle of organized crime, how like the as Tony Montana said, every dog has his day. I'm Mel.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every dog has his day where it's like you're king shit today and tomorrow like people don't even remember you. Jesse
Mhm.
from Better Call Saul. Who's Lalo? I don't remember no Lalo on the streets. You're
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
what the
Right.
fuck? He was king shit. Like you don't
Yeah.
remember him?
Yeah.
Um, and I like that theme. It's interesting, and it works here in this movie. How it's like,
Yes.
hey, you're done. Make way for the new hitman.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like you said, it's interesting, and also for me, I think something I found interesting with this movie, and I guess I want to hear your take on that too, is how there is just this kind of like hint of depth to this character, right? Because we find these certain things about him, like you said, oh, his girlfriend, and then we see kind of his relationship with his girlfriend. Um, but then we have that scene with him where he's that old man at the hospital, and he kind of has a moment with him. And then we have those scenes with him when he's kind of like standing on the bike, and it kind of gets a little bit existential. And then that elevator scene with the Asian gentleman, and he's kind of having this conversation with him, where the voices are changing from his dad to his mom to himself. So I find that interesting, just kind of hinting at like, oh, there's some depth to this guy. Like,
Yeah,
there's like some trauma and some stuff that he's trying to get away with, and he's just not able to. So I found that pretty fascinating.
yeah, I agree. I will say that old man scene in the hospital confused the shit out of me at first. I was like, "Is this his dad or something? Like, who does he know this person?" But
Who is
that
this guy?
I kind of I
Yeah,
like I rewound it just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then I was like, "Oh, this is just kind of a existential moment for him."
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah,
thought it was like his. I was like, "Wait, did he make a phone call? I don't remember or something."
yeah.
Um, but yeah. What were your gripes with this movie?
I think the main thing is that here and there were some things that just didn't necessarily like land in terms of just like maybe a joke. That I was just like, I could have done without that one, or some stuff like that. And then the second thing for me, the main thing, I think, was just the villains. Like, I think with this movie, you kind of lose like the threat of the villains, because then it's just kind of him hunting them down, and then they just come across like the main guy comes across just as this kind of like sitting duck, just waiting for Jason Statham to go and get him. So you kind of lose the sense of these guys are like intimidating,
Mm.
whether they mean anything or that they're like a challenge. And then it's really just more so like kind of waiting for him to get there. The journey's really fun, but it's kind of just like, well, I guess he has to get these guys. Um,
Interesting you say
and
that because
obviously,
that bothered me in Transporter. That was like one of the reasons
yeah,
Transporter sucked. I didn't feel that here, but you're right. You're right. It didn't
yeah.
bug me on the first watch, but
And I think the movie itself realizes like, okay, this guy's not threatening anymore. And so like, it's like he already killed his brother, and he kills a bunch of his henchmen. Like, this guy's not really threatening. And so then the movie kind of shifts the main guy to like his boss, and it's like, oh, it was his boss. He set him up. Um, and they reveal that later. And I don't know if it's just because I've seen this movie before, but I knew I was like, it's obvious this guy set you up. Like
yeah,
I feel like when he talks to him in the pool, it's like it's really obvious. Like, this guy clearly set you up. And then the movie kind of just he ultimately finds that out later, that it was really like the boss guy.
I
Um,
agree with
but I
you on
was
that.
just
I'll go even a step further. I thought it was already self evident. So when he went in the pool,
mm,
I thought he was about to kill the boss, but then he starts
yeah,
talking to him, and I pulled like a Mr. Plinkett, like, Grievous doesn't know? Like, it was like one of those
no,
moments where it was like, he doesn't
yeah.
know?
Yeah, so that was a little silly. Um and but other than that, I think other than those things, other than slight issues with certain scenes, or slight issues with maybe the pacing a little bit of the movie, because even though the movie is like really fast paced, there's certain things that I'm just like, maybe we could have done without that scene even. And then just the bad guys. I think those are my only gripes. Otherwise, in terms of what this movie is trying to do, like in terms of the vision, I think this guy struck near close perfection.
Yeah.
um, some dated effects here and there, like some dated CGI and shit, but who cares? Um, what about you? Like, what's your misgivings?
Yeah, the things I was mixed on right off the bat, I'll agree with you on the like the CGI. So the heart pumping was kind of like had a charm to it, like 2000s
Mhm.
cheese. That didn't bother me. That felt
Yeah,
like it looked dated, but it also felt kind of purposeful. Like it almost felt like you're watching a low budget National Geographic documentary on the heart or something. Like, so it didn't
yeah.
bug me. But then, yeah, you have like a scene where he crashes the car on the
It looked terrible.
escalator.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it
and that
looked
takes you
terrible.
out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
Again, it's not a horrible, uh,
no,
it's not terrible, but not a
it's just
big
a little
deal.
scene.
Yeah, it's what it
Yeah.
is. And then the public sex scene, I just thought was like, I thought that was like a
It's so
step.
random. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a step too far. It felt like they tried to kind of have their cake and eat it too with that scene.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like that scene, they could have deleted that scene from the movie.
Well, so yeah, so I feel like that scene could have gone uh, one of two ways, and they kind of did
Yeah.
both. I thought that scene would have been funny on its own if he tried to say to his girl, if he said to his girlfriend like, "Hey, let's have sex," and then she hits him and
Mm.
walks away. I think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
That would have gotten the point across. Like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his heart rate up, and boom, and then it
Yeah.
adds another butt. South Park writing butt in there for you to be like, oh, well, how's he going to get his heart rate up now? And it would have been good. Or like she agrees, but go like, it took me out of it. I know the movie's ridiculous, but it just felt very weird that she would have sex with him in front of crowds of people. It's like,
Yeah.
go, I don't know. It just felt like they could have gone and done it in private.
Yeah.
It was just too much. I'm not a
Yeah.
like this isn't like a prude thing. It just
No,
didn't
I agree with
land
you. I
for
agree with
me.
you. It just didn't land, and the way the execution of it was just too. It was just too much. It was just too much because then the way that they went about it was basically him attacking her, and so like so it doesn't work. Like I said, it would have worked better if she refused him or if she said yes, and then they could have done the gag where he just can't perform,
Hmm.
which they did anyway. So it's like I feel like they could have done those two things. Either she says no, and punches him, but at the end of the day, she does it again. She does it later when he's driving. She does, a thing for him when he's driving. After she realizes that he's telling the truth about the whole thing, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, so that you can get your energy, perform this act while you're driving." So she still kind of follows through with something. So they could have done the thing where she says no and then follows through with that, or they could have done the thing where she says yes, but he can't do it, But it's just like, but they just kind of went about it in a very strange way. There's like scenes like that. Like that's a perfect scene. Thank you for mentioning that. That's a perfect scene of like they could have cut that, or that could have been reduced. But it's interesting because even though this is an hour and a half movie, again, like there's some weight to this movie that could have been shaved off of it.
Hmm. Yeah. By the
But
way, his
yeah.
relationship with her, it reminded me a lot of Butch in Pulp Fiction and his girlfriend. Their
Oh
relationship,
yeah,
it reminded me a ton of that. Like when he goes and picks her
yeah.
up, it
That's
felt
interesting.
very inspired by Pulp Fiction. Because I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
Pulp
yeah,
Fiction
yeah.
in a long ass time, but I think it was similar
Yeah.
where Butch's girlfriend is just very kind of lax and naive about what
Yeah.
he's doing
Mhm.
and what's going on,
100%.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Just kind of waiting for the ride. Just like, this is Butch and he's my man. I
yeah.
don't get, I don't get what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then okay,
Yeah.
so and then just negatives. I guess like a big I agree with you on individual scenes like that, but like kind of bigger negatives, I guess. So maybe this isn't a negative, but I think when the bad guys injected him with that drug, I think my brain kind of put the cart before the horse in a way because I already knew what this movie was about. So when I
Mhm.
saw the bad guys inject him with something, I assumed they thought or they knew what the drug that how he could combat the drug by keeping his heart rate up. But that was
Yeah.
that not the case? They didn't know that there was a cheat code for it
Yeah, they didn't
essentially.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't know.
Okay. Even so, though, I will say when the fact that like you have that scene where the guy's like, "Oh, we should have killed you when we had the chance," and it's like, yeah, no shit, like,
Yeah,
like what are
yeah,
you doing?
yeah,
I feel like they could have thrown in some kind of reason for them to do such like a fuck you to him, um,
yeah.
of injecting him with this thing, some reason for them to be that petty
Yeah,
to
because
not
they
just
really
pop
don't.
him.
Yeah, because they just say like, "Hey, you need to die because we're trying to ingratiate ourselves with the other mob that you quote unquote killed the guy, but the guy just like went away for 48 hours or whatever." It's like we're trying to ingratiate ourselves to them by killing you so that we can be friends. So you're the sacrificial lamb for that purpose.
Hmm.
But like you said, it's like if that's really the purpose, like if that's really it, you should have just killed the guy. So like you said, I feel like they should have given the guy that injects him, like they should have given that guy a reason to be like you said, just to be so petty and be like, oh, I did this so that I know, that in an hour you're gonna die. And it feels and that would have worked because we know that that guy's just kind of a meathead, just like a mid tier crime guy. We would know that it's like, oh, that guy went out of his way to be petty and do this to him. Not that the main mob guy said to him like, "Hey, inject Shelios with this thing that will kill him in an hour or whatever."
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of a disconnect there for sure.
Yeah, and I can already hear people saying like, "Oh, you're thinking about it too much. Don't think about it so
Yeah,
much. It's just stupid. It's not supposed to make sense." I have never really cared for that rationale.
no, neither have I
I
for
think
sure. Neither have
now I will say I agree with it to the extent of don't let it
I. Temper like your
yeah,
enjoyment
don't
of
let
the
it bring
film
down
for
your
sure.
enjoyment of a movie like this. Like again, you can find these things in the John Wick movies too. Don't let it.
Yeah,
I agree. Don't let it bring down your enjoyment of a fast paced action film. But storytelling, despite insane things happening in stories, I do think they should always have an internal logic. And despite not bringing my enjoyment of this movie down one iota,
yeah,
it I will acknowledge it as a flaw. I think. Um,
yeah,
and you're right. I think that would have been better if the boss said, "Hey, go pop him," and the replacement hitman was like, "Let's actually inject him with this drug
yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
an idiot." Like that would
yeah.
have
And
been
it's funny
better.
because it would have been better, and it would have just been like a little. It would have been like a 30-second thing.
Exactly.
But whatever. Any final thoughts? What is your rating for this film?
No final thoughts. It's a great action movie. I really enjoyed this. I'm
Yes,
glad you picked this.
super fun.
But I would give Crank an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I will keep my 7. Like I gave this movie a 7, and I'm gonna keep it at a 7. Um, because it doesn't. It's not reaching my heart all the way. Even though it's funny because I'm rewatching this movie again. I watched this movie for the first time as a teenager. I think this movie's super good. If you guys have heard like watched our ratings of movies, like the past few episodes, I think it was on the Asteroid City. We talked about what our ratings mean. So I'm giving this a 7 because I think this is a really, really good movie. Um, a few shortcomings for me for sure, but I still think it's super good, and it might be an 8 on a fourth rewatch at some point in the future. I've seen Crank how high voltage rather. I really remember enjoying it, like the second movie, but we'll see. We might have to watch that one, if not on the show, at least on our own.
Yeah, I
But
gotta go
okay.
watch that one.
What do you have for us for next week?
Um, I want to do a. Let me see. I think I know what I want to do, but let me just make sure. So sorry, audience, you're gonna have to check the description. We'll have it. We'll actually have it. Just scroll down; it'll probably be there
Just scroll down.
for
Yeah,
what next
read
week
the
is.
description.
Yeah.
Well,
Um.
whatever it might be, I'm excited.
Yeah. But something summary, something fun. But it's like I can't decide if I want it to use this one as a commentary. But I don't want to do a commentary next week. I do want to do like a regular episode. But
Yeah,
um, so we'll see. I'll have to balance that out. But that'll be next week.
gonna come in, folks, and that way you can watch the movie with us. So to wrap us up, let's do our recaps and then close us out.
Let's do it.
I'll go first, and then I'll let you close the week for us. I have a very short recap because I have been in the M's. I haven't watched like any movies since our last show. Been real busy. Off 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 our usual tangents, but I've listened to four albums. One of them being "Pray for Haiti" by Mach-Hommy. Do you know who Mach-Hommy is?
I don't think so. What kind of music is it?
He's usually like he's like on the kind of like rotation of features with Griselda a lot. So he has like a lot of he has specifically like a lot of West Side Gun features.
Okay.
And West Side Gun is heavily featured in this album. There's let me see one, two. There's three West Side Gun features in this album. One of them being one of the great songs of this album is called "Folie à Deux," like the Joker movie,
Yeah.
like the second Joker movie. And that features West Side Gun and Keisha Plum. That's one of the best songs on the album. Also, the 26th Letter and the Stellar Wraith Theory are some of my favorite songs of this album. I didn't like this album very much. I think I'm gonna delete it from my albums. I would give this like a 5 or a 6. I did not really like Mach-Hommy that much. I didn't think he brought very much to the album. I enjoy the West Side features, and I think he has great chemistry with West Side Gun. I can see why they collaborate often, but I didn't enjoy this album very much. Sorry for any Mach-Hommy fans.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
do know. Yeah, I've seen him featured on West Side Gun stuff. Okay. I
yeah,
I just had to see it spelled the way it's spelled to actually recognize it.
yeah, Mach-Hommy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. And then on the other hand, I listened to Madlib, specifically two
Mm,
Madlib albums. His
the master.
2003 jazz hip hop fusion album, Shades of Blue, Madlib Invades Blue Note.
Yep.
Um, super great, super great, great. It's 16 tracks, 57 minutes of just him collaborating with a bunch of other jazz musicians. Morgan Adams in the quartet, Joe, what is it? McDuffie. He's just like collaborating with these like jazz musicians and these jazz quartets. And there's a little bit of rapping in some of the songs. And for the most part, it's just Madlib bringing in hip hop into this kind of jazz fusions with Blue Note, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. So go and give it a try. I really loved Stormy. I loved Distant Land, Slim's Return, Funky Blue Note, and Stepping into Tomorrow. I thought they were all great. Great album.
Yep.
Definitely keeping it in my playlist.
I got a lot of those songs on my jazz list.
Oh yeah, dude, it's so good. And I also listened to what he did then about 20 years later, Madlib's Sound Ancestors, which is there's no jazz for this one. This is kind of more of like your middle, not the middle of the road, but this is more of like your more I would say customary thing with hip hop producers when they just kind of do like basically like a bunch of beats. Like and this is that. This is just a bunch of beats. And some of them are great, some of them are not great, or some of them rather not that they're not great, they're just not memorable. I liked Road of the Lonely Ones, liked Theme of Crabtree. I liked Loose Goose and Redeem Chant. I liked those. And I liked the very last one, Dumbaye. Otherwise, again, it's just kind of like Jay Dilla has one of this, like it's just Kenny Beats is one of these. It's like your general like 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, like good producer record.
It's just tough
And
to
so then
listen
to
to
round
a
every
loop like that,
yeah.
like a looped
And
beat,
so to say what?
like a looped beat. Is that kind of how it
Yeah,
is? Like you just listening to a
yeah,
loop, basically. Yeah, that's
yeah.
tough, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some of them, like I said, especially the ones that I mentioned, some of them have a little bit more meat to them, and you can kind of enjoy it for the long ride. But then a lot of the other ones are just like a minute or two of just a beat with nobody rapping over it. So it's
Yeah.
tough. I've talked about a lot of these kind of albums. End Introducing is one of them. The J Dilla Donuts album, this album, like the Kenny Beats album I talked about too. Eh, there's only so far you can go with these. And this Madlib one is one of those. The jazz one is great, especially because of the jazz and because there's also people rapping in some of them. But the Madlib by himself, Ancestors one is just all right. And then to round everything out, I listened to Madvillainy by Madvillain. And that's I know,
Mm,
right? The classic.
man,
Um,
I got a T-shirt
for
for
anybody,
it. I got a trading
yeah,
card that you got me. You've
yeah,
got me a lot of MF Doom related gifts. Shout out
yeah,
to
dude.
Edward too for getting me the Chronicles of
Ah, there it
Doom,
is.
MF Doom's
Oh, I'm glad.
biography. This is a great freaking book. So thank you
It's
to
a
Edward.
hardcover too, right?
Any
Yeah.
Doom fans out there, go pick this up. But go
Well,
ahead.
for anybody listening, I'm a big Dune fan, but Jake is the biggest Dooms fan that I know. So I've gotten you a handful of Doom things for sure. If I see any more interesting stuff, I'll get it for you too in the future. 10 out of 10
Thanks, dude.
album, perfect record. MF Doom at the peak of his powers. Madlib has kind of always been peaking, but he's peaking here too. Wonderful, wonderful album. Again, 10 out of 10. It's one of the albums that I consider to be perfect. Accordion, Meat Grinder, Bistro, The Raid, Rainbows, Money Folder, Figaro. Every song in here. Just
I
listen to any of
featuring
them.
Stacey Epps. Don't forget that one.
Yes, yes. All caps. Yeah, I Stacey. Fancy Clown with Victor Vaughn. I wonder who that is.
Yeah, right.
um, yeah, dude. Everything here is great. Everything here is great. Love the album. If you're listening to this, listener, and you have not listened to Madvillain, to the Madvillainy album by Madvillain, which is just MF Doom and Madlib, go listen to it. Madlib also does some rapping and some choruses as Quasimodo, as he likes to go with his alias.
Yep.
Perfect album. That's it for my roundup. What do you have, Mr. Jake? Bring us home.
Yep. I would add to I would talk about Madvillainy with you, but we'd be here all night, so
We'll be here
I'll
all
leave it.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as movies go, I watched A Simple Favor. My girlfriend and I watched that together. Pretty much all of these besides Crank I watched with my girlfriend over the past couple weeks, but um A Simple Favor with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. Just kind of like a, you know, thriller mystery film. It's what it
I
is.
just
I
made a
thought,
new one of those. I think they made like another Simple Favor or something like that.
yeah, they did. It's what it is. Like it's not.
It's
It's
what it
fine.
is.
Yeah, there were some things in it that I liked, but I thought there was just a lot to be desired. Pretty average movie. There were some things in there that I thought were fairly well done, and some other things that I thought could have been done a lot better. But yeah, just very bland, straight down the middle kind of Netflix type thriller.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched Predator. That was my girlfriend's first time seeing that. She had seen
Great
Prey.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd seen Prey. Funny enough, she actually liked Prey better than Predator, which I thought was
Really?
pretty blasphemous, but not really. I
Yeah,
mean,
right. I haven't seen Prey though. It's in my watch list. I haven't seen it, but I want to. But Predator's great.
yeah, Predator's
I don't know.
fantastic.
I don't know
Uh,
if Prey would beat it.
no. Prey's good though. Prey is. I thought Prey was pretty above average. I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10 on
Yeah.
Letterboxd. So Prey's good. It's a worthy successor. It's definitely the best besides the original, I think. Because I think I've seen all the Predators. I haven't seen The
Is it
Predator, but that one's just supposed to be
Predators?
crap. Yeah, I've seen Predators. I didn't think that was that
Okay.
good. Um,
All right.
but yeah, the original Predator, what can you say? It's a classic. I love watching, like I said last week, I
Get to
think.
the shopper.
Yeah, get to the chopper. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we get to the summer, that's what I love the adventure horror films, sci-fi
Yeah.
horror,
Those
alien.
70s, 80s movies are so great for that time.
Yeah, for the summer, man. Yeah, summer, I'm
Yeah.
queuing up Jaws, Alien, Predator.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, Jurassic Park, like all of those horror films or horror adjacent films, creature features that don't quite fit in, don't quite have the fall Halloween vibe, that don't
Mhm.
quite fit. I love getting to those in the summer. But yeah, so did you see the trailer or the stills from the upcoming Predator movie?
No, that's something that I want. I want to. I saw a comment by Langston that he wanted us to talk about some trailers. So because of that, I might engage with trailers a little bit more, and maybe we'll get into that next episode.
Yeah, I do. We don't have time this week, but I do want to talk about the 28 years later trailer because I think
Yeah,
that
I'll watch
looks
it. I haven't watched it. I'll watch it, and maybe we'll get into it next week for sure.
it looks fantastic. But yeah, dude, if you look up Predator Badlands, the Predator looks terrible. The Predator is the main character in this movie, and then Dakota Fanning plays like an android that accompanies him on his hunts or something. So I mean, kind of
Yeah,
an interesting concept, but the Predators just look bad. Like I don't know what they're trying to do here, but um, leave it to modern films to make something that doesn't look even remotely close to as good as an effect from the 80s.
yeah.
God damn. But
Now they don't do now they don't do that shit. Now everything's like CG or some more shit.
I know, man. Yeah, this looks, it looks bad. The trailer looked all right. I doubt it'll be good though. But we'll see. I don't know. Prey was good, so that was a pleasant surprise. So Predator Badlands could be good, but it's kind of it's already behind the eight ball because it's kind of the same thing that happened with that Sonic movie when they first dropped the trailers and all people could talk about was how Sonic looked, you know. All right, guys. So we actually just lost Edward. The power went out where he's at. I think his internet's down and everything. So I'm just gonna wrap the show up here. So this is gonna be an odd one man podcast here, just a guy rambling. But we're gonna give you guys we're gonna send you off. So yeah, Predator, Badlands. You know. Who knows? Who knows? It's kind of a toss up because with Prey, I remember just saying, oh, there's another Predator movie. I don't know about this. This is probably not going to be good, but it ended up being really good. So it's hard to say with Predator Badlands. It's like a coin toss in my mind. We'll see. But it like I was saying before Edward cut out, it's kind of experiencing that Sonic the Hedgehog movie thing where the all people could talk about was how bad Sonic looked, and that's kind of what's happening with Predator Badlands right now. That's all anyone can talk about is how weird and bad and just odd the the Predator looks. So we'll see about that. And then I watched for the first time with my girlfriend also Megan, the scary doll movie. Kind of a mixed bag. I thought it could have been better, but there was some effective stuff in it. Some pretty effective storytelling. Solid. I thought the themes in there were solid as far as I thought it was kind of weirdly a good metaphor for how kids are addicted to their screens, and being raised by iPads and iPhones and even back when I was a kid, you had the PSPs and Nintendo DSs and stuff, and I thank to this day I thank my parents that they never let me get any of that portable crap. Just staring at a friggin' screen, whether you're sitting in the car or you're on like a family trip, you're just missing everything around you. But yeah, I thought Megan unironically made a great commentary on that. But a lot of the execution fell flat. It's a very cringy movie. I think it particularly in a lot of the ways they try to make the doll creepy, it comes across cringy and weird and just I don't know, just corny. So yeah, and I didn't think it was all that either. Pretty average movie, not horrible, not great, just okay. And then let's see here. We got I started watching Andor, that Star Wars show that everybody was raving about a couple years ago. It's pretty good. It's very well written. I will say that, especially on a dialogue and scene level. Just phenomenally written. The dialogue, it just very subtle. A lot of economy. Not a lot of the usual kind of ham-fisted, wooden or choppy dialogue that we get in a lot of modern Star Wars media. I will say it is boring as hell, though. Like I got to episode 4, and that's kind of, I was thinking about giving up on it after episode 3, but I could kind of sense the story beats where from the story beats kind of where we were headed and that things were about to pick up, and I was right. I At least for now, because I started episode 4. I haven't finished it though. Not a ton of urgency to finish it, but we'll see. Yeah, just kind of very boring and bland, but well written. On a scene and dialogue level, very well done. It just doesn't feel like we're on much of an adventure yet. By the time I got to episode 4, at least. And and then going into summer, I start to feel very, the call of the ocean, the beach. So I start listening to a lot of reggae in the summertime. So I've been listening to a lot of, Bob Marley, Ziggy Marley, Peter Tosh. And I found some new, some artists I hadn't listened to before. I really like the Abyssinians, and then Steel Pulse is pretty good as well. A couple of reggae groups there. Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. So stick with us. Join us next week. If you scroll down, like we said, by the time this video is up, I believe we'll have the movie of the week for next week picked out. So it should be in the description. And thanks, guys. Appreciate you listening. Bye-bye.